We must get us gone.
There's the
Then go
stream.
downtown.
I knew there'd be a stream. We're going
Mikey,
downtown.
it looks like they've once again allowed us to turn on the internet.
That's New York Vinnie. He's in Seattle.
And it's Michael Knight, and he's in Pasadena, California. He hasn't loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly quite yet, but
I'm not loading any trucks. Last
he's
time I moved,
close.
just about it liked to kill me, as my grandmother would have said. It didn't. It approached my death, or it liked to kill me.
It would like to kill you.
Before we went on the air, Vinny said, "That's Bobby Darin. That's Bobby
Yes.
Darin."
I was looking at a clip of the Kraft Music Hall from 1969 because I was interested in hearing Laura Nyro sing a song that would probably be just as relevant today as it was back then,
What's it called?
entitled Save the Country. It was made popular by the Fifth Dimension, but Laura Nyro wrote it, as she did many of the popular songs of that period.
Laura Nyro and Jimmy Webb provided lots of songs for the Fifth Dimension to sing.
And many others, too. I mean, she gave Stony End to Barbra Streisand, who had a hit with it.
Eli's Coming to Three Dog Night.
Yeah. And When I Die, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I mean, she was a prolific songwriter, and she wrote this one, and it is just, and unfortunately she passed away 49 years old of ovarian cancer, back in the 80s. And she's just always been one of my favorite songwriters.
She was very New York.
Yeah, I got to actually meet her early on in her career at the Village Theater, which later turned into the Fillmore East. But prior to it being the Village Theater, anyway, we saw the clip that she's in on the Kraft Music Hall. Her only appearance, I believe, on TV. She's being introduced by a skinny guy with long sideburns, and I'm looking at him before I read the comments, and I'm going, who is this guy, man? I can't quite. I know the face, I know the voice, but I can't place it.
It was Bobby Darin during his transformation.
Yeah, it was Bobby Darin. Another guy who was taken way before his time.
He went all sweatshirts and jeans and beard and long hair when he heard Tim Hardin. That took him over the edge, and he had to rethink his career. Bobby Darin did a folk rock album.
Didn't If I Was a Carpenter come off of that album?
I think so.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a Tim Hardin fan.
He was a hell of a singer. I mean, a hell of a volatile life, but one of those guys who was, that group of, although he never really fit into that group of Italian singers, he was much more a pop singer. But
from Splish Splash, I was taking a bath, to the La Linya.
Yeah, to Mac the Knife.
Mac the Knife, thank you very much.
To If I Was a Carpenter, then I think was 68, something like that. Yeah, he just had a very volatile life, but a great voice. And to listen to some of his music, to go back and listen to it now, I mean, the guy swang. I mean, he was every bit of a swinging singer as Sinatra, as Dean Martin, as any one of those.
I don't recall which his middle name must have been Walden or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was,
because that became one of the publishing companies at Atlantic Records, Walden Music.
Yeah, I think it was. And it was. I know there's a weird story behind it too, because I read a book on Bobby Darin a million years ago, and I can't. And it was also a pretty decent TV movie done about him.
Didn't he
Back,
marry
like
Sandra D or one of the Beach Bunnies?
yeah, it was a really good TV movie done probably in the early '90s about Bobby Darin, and I'll bet you it's on YouTube, as is everything these
I
days.
was sitting in a theater in Westwood, California, not far from here, the home of UCLA, the Bruins. It was just about showtime. It was one of those theater experiences where there's only 20 people in the theater, but the movie's going to start anyway.
Right.
And here comes, I'm sitting there in the dark, but it's not total darkness. And here comes Bobby Darin down the aisle. I spot him immediately. It's him, it's him, it's him. And somebody else must have whispered, "Hey, it's Bobby Darin." Because before taking his seat, he stood up and did a Copacabana dance routine, took off his hat. He was bald as I am, and sat down. And that was the end of his show. It was a quick little dance number, arms akimbo, putting on a little bit of a show, sat down, and then enjoyed the movie with the rest of us. My only meeting with Bobby Darin.
The movie I'm thinking of actually might have actually been in theaters. Now that I think about it, it is Beyond the Sea,
That was one of his hits. Somewhere
starring Kevin Spacey
beyond the sea. Oh, that's a good
as Bobby
casting.
Darin.
That's right.
Uh, Kevin Spacey, Kate Bosworth, John Goodman. Spacey directed it. It's a little under 2 hours, and it's free on YouTube.
I think Biff Jiggerman was in that movie.
I think so, but see, now I can't remember if I went to the movies to see it, or if I went, or if I saw it, like on HBO or something like that. I think I might have gone to the movies actually to see this because I was, I'm a pretty big Bobby Darin fan, and
Remember his song called 18 Roses?
in
It was a
Roses,
country song.
yeah, kind of vaguely. I've seen it. I don't know if I remember it that well.
It was a story song about the 18 Roses.
He always, I mean, one of his big hits was, of course, "Artificial Flowers,"
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
which was a um,
Song about a girl singing,
yeah,
selling
song about
artificial flowers.
a woman who was selling flowers. Let me get it up here real quick. And I always thought it was a great song. I mean, yeah, let's.
Well, the funny thing is, he could take on an identity and sing the song in that identity.
Yeah, he definitely had. He could.
Alone in the world was poor little lamb, as sweet a
Can you
young
hear that?
child as
Oh,
your
yeah.
parents had gone to their final reward,
Yeah.
leaving their baby behind. Did you hear this poor little child was only 9 years of age when mother and dad went away. Still she bravely worked at one thing she knew, to earn her few pennies a day. She made artificial flowers, artificial flowers, flowers for ladies of fashion to wear. She made artificial flowers.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if that's the song you're thinking of, but that's one of my favorites. That was, I think, 62, 63, something like that. But he was, yeah, just had a great voice. Great voice, great voice and troubled mind. The combination of the both.
It was funny how he went from a pop artist singing about splish splash and taking a bath to a tuxedo wearing club singer. And and his improvisational abilities. his hipster
Well, he had that
delivery.
swing. You know, he had that swing to him that, and it wasn't phony. It sounded natural when he sang. When he got into, you know, there was some singers that when they sang, you know, when they sang a song and they got into kind of the swing thing, you know, you think about them. Wayne Newton could never carry it off. Uh, Bobby Darin always carried it off. Dean Martin could always carry it off. Sinatra could always carry it off. Those vocalists, Perry Como, could never carry it off.
He never
He looked,
tried. He didn't have any moves.
he looked stupid trying to do it. He tried to do it, but you know they couldn't do it.
Harry, move a little bit. No, never mind. Don't.
Yeah, you know, great voice, but didn't have the, you know, just didn't have. Andy Williams, you know, was another guy. Could, you know, he could dress up in a tux and you could send him out there and he could sing a song and make grandma, you know, pay attention, but he couldn't swing.
He was a
You know,
little awkward. You had to get a close up of him because Andy Williams standing there did not present a convincing picture.
yeah. I mean, Sinatra was cool just by walking out on stage. Dean Martin was cool just standing there smoking a cigarette and just looking at the camera. You know, the stories about Dean Martin never having to rehearse or do anything like that. You know, you would just walk in, let's do the show, go through the show, maybe make a couple of mistakes that had to be edited out, but that was it. You couldn't get him to show up for rehearsal. So they just rehearsed the show around him. And
he was the Allen Iverson of show business. You want me to come to practice? You're talking about practice, not the games? You mean you're more interested in practice than you are the game?
Well, you know, there are some artists, some performers that work better like that. You know, they work better where they just, you know, come in and they riff and it's hell on the rest of the cast. It has to be, you know, at a certain spot at a certain time.
You know, the idea of rehearsing is for lines. It's not for entertainment. It's not for the stuff that Dino did. He was naturally equipped to make the show go and to introduce the Rolling Stones if they had him on the show, which he did, or for that matter, any of his friends. And he reacted great to things that were off the cuff, like the idea of opening the door, and there was always somebody new there.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't know who it was going to be. He knew it was going to be somebody. He knew he had to react. But that was not pressure for Dino. That was grist for the mill. Open the damn door. Here we go.
Yeah, most of the time, he had no idea who was coming out of that door.
And if he opened the door and saw somebody really new, he'd slam it in their face. We'll talk later.
Yeah, he was. Dean Martin was one of those people that just didn't have to. You know, it all just came to him. You know, and I've always talked about this with, you know, Sinatra had to work at it. Sinatra had to work at his voice. He had to work at being cool. It wasn't easy for Sinatra. It didn't come easy.
And I think he might have not always wanted to be on stage. I don't want to work tonight. I don't want to.
Yeah, I think I'm sure every performer goes through that. Dean Martin didn't have that, man. Dean Martin was like, you know, this is where I belong. This is what I do. Just put me out there. Give me a cocktail in my hand, and I'm out. I'm out and ready. You know, I'm. Everybody loves somebody. Let's go.
There's a guy who belonged the same way that Dean belongs on stage. He belonged on a football field who passed this week. And it was a guy I got to see play football a lot. In fact, I got to see him as the tight end of the 49ers in Super Bowl 19 when the 49ers beat the Miami Dolphins at Stanford Stadium. And the guy I'm talking about is Russ Francis, who died at the age of 70. Francis. Big Russ was a factor in the 49er wins because 49ers didn't win games without using the tight end. And Russ was a great receiver, a great blocker, a great character, a great big mouth, a great maniac. So it comes as no surprise that he died behind the wheel of a Cessna plane that developed problems on takeoff and couldn't get back to the runway. And he had the best chance of surviving that crash because the guy on the other seat with they had two driving two sets of controls is what it is. It was a training plane, although Russ
Right.
was an experienced pilot, and they never made it back to the field. It was it's just a shame that he's gone because he was such a free spirit. Played for the Patriots in the beginning of his career. Was a Hawaiian boy. Was a character, if ever there was. Remember once he got into a shouting argument with Bill Walsh on the sidelines that everyone was witnessing because it was happening right below us. The press box was watching. The press box was going, whoa, because nobody exchanged words with Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was the genius that we've always heard about. He was a Super Bowl champion coach, but he did not get into football to have conversations with his players. He had something he wanted to say. Then they wanted quiet because he was through talking. And Russ had something he wanted to say that day during the game, and it was quite a break in decorum on the 49ers sideline because the 49ers did not operate that way. It was not a free-for-all where anyone who had an idea could just chip in. That's not the way it worked. It was a quiet, intense sidelines, as much as it is the same today with Shanahan. But Russ Francis broke that code, and many others before he was through. He was a winner. He was a Super Bowl champion with 2 different teams. He was a great tight end, and I'm sorry to say that he's gone.
Right. Also a Seattle guy. He was born here in Seattle, and Oregon Duck. And yeah, he was. Yeah, well, he was part of that great loose 49er, early 80s 49er, early mid 80s 49er team that was,
Yeah.
1 year winning the championship, the next year all coked out. That was what it was, right?
It was the Reagan years. There was cocaine and champagne for everybody, apparently.
And he just go into a bathroom and you'd find one or the other. That's for sure, either in the tub or on the counter. But the greatest words of friendship back in that period was, "I left a little something in the bathroom for you," and you had to hope to get there before somebody else
Before
did.
somebody else got to the back room. Not the back room. There's no security in the back room.
No, the bathroom. The bathroom.
Oh, the bathroom. Okay, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and again, it's just our heroes, or I'm always reluctant to call them heroes because, especially after September 11th, a hero has taken on a whole different definition to me and to many others to think.
Well, you have to call them something. You wouldn't want to call them Republicans.
No, I wouldn't. No, because then they'd be gone. They'd be voted out by 8 people if they were Republicans. But yeah, Russ Francis was he was a key part of that team. He was, again, didn't he have a radio show for a while? I forget.
In the Bay Area?
Yeah, I'm trying. Maybe it was on KNBR, or he used to regularly join somebody. Maybe, and I don't remember who it was, but I remember him having a weekly or twice a week radio gig for a while. It wasn't. I don't think it was on KRQR, and I think it was KNBR, or maybe it was actually KGO. I'd have to ask
KRQR had Dwight Hicks.
Right. And but he had a shot. There's Rich Walkoff. He'll probably know. Matter of fact, he might have even done the show with them at that point. But so I remember him from that show, and he was quite funny.
Oh yeah, he was an outgoing natural performer.
Yeah, he was a great performer, and of course, unfortunately, killed in my home state.
Up at Lake
which
Placid.
up in Lake Placid, which it's. I was just talking about Lake Placid, the site of the 1980 Olympics, but that pales in comparison to the 1980 Buds ski trip that we took to Lake Placid just after the Olympics.
I don't want to hear about that. Do not tell me any more about that.
Yes, the bar I used to hang out in, Buds, which is no longer there, but we did a like an annual trip. Everybody from the bar got into a bus and we went skiing. And you didn't have to ski to go on the
No,
trip. All
no,
you had
just
to
go,
do was
just go, just go
just go on
skiing.
the trip.
I didn't say
Um,
I was skiing. I said I was going skiing.
Going on a trip, if you want to ski, well, that's okay. But if you just want to sit there and get drunk from 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll
That's
accommodate you there as well.
that is encouraged.
That's quite encouraged, and
Well,
we got
the
to go up to Lake Placid. Well, I mean, I used to go up to Lake Placid actually a few times. It used to be a place to go up before the Olympics. It was a nice little town to go skiing.
I got a bit of a chill this morning with another factor from New York. Senator Chuck Schumer, speaking to the Senate, said, "Right now, we are in a situation we've never been in before, thanks to the lunatics in the Republican Party, who have put us in a position where if a national emergency were to arise or present itself, the House of Representatives would be unable," then he said, unable to respond to the nation's needs. This is the gift of the chaos. This is the gift of Donald Trump. This is the gift of Matt Gaetz. This is a wonderful gift that we've opened. And it turns out to be a Pandora's box of all the ills that destroy societies. And we watched it yesterday on TV. But the downside we thought we had dealt with, that is, government would come to a bit of a halt. But we did not consider what would happen if the people of America actually needed their government to respond to something that was challenging the safety or the health of the people. And now the Republicans have put us in a position where that response would be unable to be delivered. And that's a crime. That's a crime because it's unforced. It's an unforced error. It was brought on purposefully and meaningfully by the most ragged members of the right. And that's where we are now. Now, if you were China, you'd say, can you believe these people? They put themselves into neutral and threw away the key. What should we do? What is our response?
Well, first of all, let's go back. Why is, and I don't think they should have, by any shape, manner, or form, taken off after they did their dirty work. But why is it any different now than it is if they all take off for vacation? Except that they don't have a leader, but they have a leader. They have a leader pro tem. So
I don't know if there's limitations to what the leader pro tem can do.
I know that there's, and I don't agree with them taking off. I think it's a real crappy move. They should have stayed there and done the business of doing
cowardly move. The cowardly lions of the
it was a cowardly move. But I don't agree in the sense that somebody said yesterday, well, if we needed to declare war on somebody, well, you know what? If you need to declare war on somebody, I'm pretty sure that they could get a Zoom call together. To declare war, or I'm sure that they could all make their way back to Washington
but
if there was a national emergency.
That's a
that
war.
caliber.
Yeah, you're right. But I think war is a bad example because we've gone to war several times since World War II and have not actually had to declare war. The president just says, you guys go do this. It's not war. It's an official action.
Right. So, but I heard somebody say that, and I heard somebody, I mean, the business of the government wasn't getting done anyway.
May never be done.
And so I disagree with that premise from Schumer, that Now, do I think that it's screwed up what they did? Yeah, I think that um I think it's bad for the external look at the country, at our country from other countries. We're supposed to be the beacon on the hill and the shining light, and everything works. And what have we had in the last 5 years, 6 years? We've had an insurrection. We've had uh, uh, a president who's decided that he doesn't want to accept the
The
will of the
results.
people
Right.
and leave office peacefully and with class and dignity. As a matter of fact, he decided after that he wants to get indicted 91 times or 91 counts, 3 times indicted. We've had, we've had a Speaker of the House who bold-faced would lie.
Promise and then break his promise.
Right. Promise and break his promise, or lie, or blamed everything. We have we had a Speaker of the House who started a impeachment inquiry over nothing. The business of the country is not being done, but the Republicans and McCarthy is their leader sat there and said, well, we do have time to go after Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and we have time to examine this stuff. Why? Because we can. We don't need evidence. We don't need anything. And even when the experts that they rely on told them that they didn't have anything, they still went ahead anyway, because the point of it was not to impeach Joe Biden. There's no way that they were going to impeach him. The point of it was to get themselves in the spotlight.
And just to talk about impeachment, just to say
Right,
impeachment.
just to be able to say, when they went back to their districts, that,
hey, did you see me on the impeachment thing?
right,
I was there.
Exactly. Matt Gaetz is Trump. He's just in a different package.
And
But he
apparently
has
he's doing this
no
because he
respect
wants
for
to.
the institutions, no respect for the people that he represents, or for the people that he's supposed to represent that aren't in his district. But he has no idea how to conduct himself as a congressperson, really as a human being.
And he wants to be governor of Florida. So this is just an example of how he would shut down Florida if ever elected.
And he'll fit in perfectly. If he follows DeSantis, because by the time DeSantis is done, he's going to be out of money and out of credibility. I don't see this guy rising from the ashes.
No.
Gaetz will be there to swoop in on him and kick him to the curb like anybody else, because that's what Gaetz does. He's an opportunist, and an opportunist who doesn't have dignity or class or any shape, manner, or form of responsibility to his job. His responsibility is to himself.
The rule of the lawyers is you never ask a question that you don't already know the answer to. You think these things through, you prepare your case. But these Republicans, many of whom did graduate law school, never did the logical follow through. If we do this because we want to do it, because we said we were going to do it, because we promised we were going to shut down the country, because we guaranteed that chaos was coming, this is one way to it. When we do this and vote out Kevin McCarthy, what's the outcome going to be? What's the downside? What should we prepare for? What's the dark side? And what's the next step? Who becomes the man that takes the mantle, or the woman for that matter? And they don't have a clue. They're standing at the abyss, or they're 1 foot over the abyss, like Wile E. Coyote. And before they're falling, now it occurs to them, what's next? What next is your fall? What next is the end of the cartoon? What next is the splatter in the bottom with Acme?
Well, they don't
dynamite.
know, Michael. They don't know, because now you have 8 people who have 8 different agendas, who have control of our government really right now.
I think that they might turn on each other. The 8 will not hold.
And I am sure, I don't even think it, I am sure that they will turn on each other. You know, Matt Gaetz is in it for Matt Gaetz and nobody else. You know, he was out sending fundraising
Emails.
text while this was all going on. He didn't have. I mean, when
Who taught him that? Who taught him that trick?
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's Trump in a different costume, but he's the same thing, except he's not that. He's not that finessed at it as Trump is, because Trump has a New York background. He knows how to swindle people. He's been swindling people a long time.
But
Matt
Gates,
Gaetz is fairly new at swindling people.
yeah,
He's going to have to learn a little bit
he's a
along
rookie.
the way. But make no mistake. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, I said this to my friend this morning, that we talk about these things all the time. Everybody's saying, oh my God, Donald Trump showed up in New York for this trial and everything. I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book from a mob boss. He wanted an alibi so he wouldn't seem like he was near anything. You don't think these guys were calling Trump up every 10 seconds, telling him what was going on, texting him? Yet he's in New York in the courtroom, and he can sit there and say, I didn't have anything to do with it. I don't know what's going on.
They never tell me anything. I don't talk to them. We're not friends.
See, the Republicans had a chance to avoid all of this. And McCarthy was right at the forefront of it. They had a chance after January 6th to get rid of Trump, to get things back to normal, to impeach him, convict him, and make sure that he could never run for anything again.
And then they saw the base never moved on January 6th.
And then they saw that they weren't
Never
doing what was
wavered.
good for the country. They were doing what was good for themselves. The only, I mean, really one of the only people that stood up and did what was good for the country was Mike Pence. I mean, I hate to say it because I'm no fan of his, but if he had kowtowed to what Trump wanted to, we might have been in a full-scale civil war by now. So I have no, McCarthy. Listen, McCarthy was a lion snake, and he could have saved himself too. He could have, he could have saved himself by going to the Democrats for help, and they might have helped him before. But what he did is he knew he needed the Democrats on Monday to help him.
But
So
on
Sunday, he goes on all the talk shows and beats the piss out of them. Just
nobody,
like Trump,
nobody forgot that.
right? Just like Trump is in court in front of a judge with no jury trial. The judge is going to make his decision. And what does the idiot do? He starts throwing around false stuff about the judge's closest person, their law clerk. Is there a person closer to a judge than a law clerk? No.
They are their right-hand man, right-hand woman.
So, I mean, I've watched enough Judge Judy to know that.
And this is the first time that Trump has faced any consequences for his lunacy. Now, all the other judges in all the other cases, without balls, because you've done nothing, because you've never gagged Trump, you've never warned him, you've never made it clear that that's the end, you never threatened him with fines and incarceration, you never did anything, and you expected it to get better, but it got worse. Finally, one judge in New York in a civil case takes him to task and made it clear yesterday that's the end. So where are the other judges? Where are these federal judges that are supposed to be so smart and so equitable and so in charge of their courtrooms? You've done nothing. And the ball is in your corner because he's going to be picking on you and your clerk and your family and your friends and your career because you sat there on your hands and thought, you know, maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll come to his senses.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. This guy, Trump and his acolytes and the people that don't like him. We've seen the act. We saw it for 4 years. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. They will do whatever they can to make the king happy, to make the cult leader happy. They will do anything that they can. They will offer up their wives to Jim Jones if they must.
That's a grim picture right there.
Well, tell me how what Trump has is different. Tell me what Trump is doing is any different than Jim Jones, except he hasn't handed out the cups of Kool-Aid yet.
Funny thing about Trump is, with so many people trying to make the emperor happy, he's never happy. He's never pleased. He's never satisfied. He's never satiated. He never giggles. He never guffaws.
He never will be.
No.
He's never going to be happy because his whole thing, his whole personality, his whole existence is not based on let me get something and I'll be happy with it. It's let me get something and I want more. Or let me get something and let me crush the whoever opposed me so that I have complete and total dominance. It's an autocrat. It's an oligarch. It's a dictatorship. It's a cult. If you don't follow the cult, you're to be ostracized. If you don't follow the cult, you're to have your I mean, talk to anybody who is still thinks that Trump should be president. Talk to anybody like that,
and you'll find them in an alternative universe.
And they're nowhere. They're so whacked out that you feel sorry for them.
You can't follow the logic, which, by the way, there is none. But the story, the reasoning, the power, the latest talk points are madness. They are total, complete American-made madness.
It's just the idea that this guy could get 30% of the vote, that this guy will more than likely be the Republican frontrunner or the Republican candidate for president again.
While at the same time, his supporters who've never read a book are in charge of burning them. They're in charge of school boards. They're in charge of election boards.
Listen. He had a smart strategy. He said, "Let's get all of these little offices and all these little towns, and get our people in there. Half of these offices you can win just by writing your name in on the ballot."
Yeah,
because nobody wants to do it, but yet it's a position of power. It's you'll be called upon to do something that we're going to need, and we'd rather have you there than not there.
Farmer Brown, it's election day. Well, we're not having an election here in our town. No, it's nationwide. It's election day. Not here. We're not doing that.
We've already filled out the ballots.
We're not taking in the ballots, and if anybody turns them in, we're not counting the ballots. I'm in charge of. I'm bearing them out at my farm. I got the whole dug.
Exactly, and so now you're gonna see. And at the very least, what they have done is they continue to shake up people's faith in the American system of government. Where I bet you if you ask the average American out on the street, if Steve Allen had Tom Poston standing out on Hollywood Boulevard,
could we have Louis Nye instead?
We could have Louis Nye, and you talk to the man in the street, he would tell you that I have no faith in this government. They can't get anything done. They can't keep the lights on for more than 45 days at a clip. Meanwhile, you look at places like Russia and China, and they got the lights on. As a matter of fact, they tell you when to put the lights on and when to turn the lights off.
Well, one reason that Xi has been so quiet lately is that his entire middle class workforce can't get work.
Right.
They got this bubbling economy with no employment. It's awfully odd. It's counterintuitive to everything that the Chinese were doing. They ended up by melting down their own economy with their policies. And the very people that should be getting them jobs, the young professionals, are the ones that can't find work. Whereas in America, if you're not a young professional, nobody wants an old professional.
It is kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, it's almost like they should all switch.
Yeah.
But
Or get together and say, how did you screw up your economy? I don't know. How'd you screw up yours? Funny you should think. I don't know. We don't know how we did it.
Well, what you're seeing in China, I would think, is the end result of the same problem that we have here, where a small amount of people are making all the money, and they have decided that they don't want to spread it around. They don't want to pay people. They don't want to share the wealth. That it's better that one cat in the company make $32 billion than everybody in the company make $10,000 more a year. And I've been saying this for years. This is going to come home to roost at some point. We may not see it in our lifetime, but at some point, enough people are going to get disgusted with this, and something will have to change. There'll have to be
another major strike in California. All the employees of Kaiser hospitals walked. That's 75,000 health professionals that couldn't get a contract that they thought was equitable, so they ankled on the deal.
And why is that happening? Because it's a couple of different reasons. I was reading about the Kaiser strike, but one of them is there's no money for restaffing. But yet the CEO of Kaiser, I'm sure, is taking bonuses out the yin yang.
Exactly, yin yang, which is a medical term.
Right. We've got, along with Wazoo, you've got the executives are making a ton of money. The average person is being asked to work 12 and 14 and 18 hours a day.
With no benefits or reduced benefits.
With not just reduced benefits, but you have people in healthcare. I mean, if you're working somebody 14 hours a day in healthcare or 18 hours a day or whatever it is, at some point, somebody's going to make a mistake.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Yeah, not a good.
Right, and that mistake is going to cost somebody their life. But yet you have executives, just like the UAW strike. I mean, you got Mary Barra from General Motors who's making more money than anybody could ever need. And yet they don't want to give their workers a package that'll make them financially secure.
No, your financial security means nothing to me. My financial security means everything to me.
And they forget that it's the workers who make the cars. But they figure at some point, if the strike goes too long, they're just going to take their cars, their production, and move it down to Alabama or move it down to Texas or
Tennessee.
move it to another state where there's a right to work law, or they'll move it to Mexico.
I love the name of that law, the right to work.
Yeah. And what's going to happen? It's not going to be like people are going to turn around and not buy that brand new Chevy Silverado because it's made in Mexico now. That doesn't fly anymore because we've become too addicted to things like new trucks. and new cars and new refrigerators. And so we don't care where it's made. We care that it's inexpensive, that it's cheap, that we can get it.
We don't care about the recall either. Well, all I have to do is take it back to my dealer. It's free.
Well, I mean, as long as we're comfortable, as long as we have a soft place to sit at night and a hole in the floor to take a dump in, and toilet paper, we're happy.
Toilet paper is nice.
Toilet paper is good. But I suggest against the 1-ply. I always go with the 2-ply.
Why would anyone, where did the idea of 1-ply toilet paper come from?
I have no idea.
We have great toilet paper as it is. What if we just cut the amount of paper in half? Do you think anybody will notice? I don't. I think we can probably sell the 1-ply as well as the 2.
I think it was born in for this is going to sound nuts, but when I was back east, I started to do like a survey of the throughway rest stops and what kind of toilet paper they had. And Pennsylvania, it was the most expensive highway in the nation to drive, had the cheapest toilet paper.
In terms of tolls, you mean?
In terms of when you went to the bathroom in one of the service areas. You go in and it had that cheap ass 1-ply that you can't even pull 2 sheets of it down, that it doesn't snap. You can't get enough in your hand to do business right. You better carry your wipes with you when you go into Pennsylvania. Yet you go to New York and you go in their rest area and they have nice 2-ply, very good toilet paper, very clean toilets. And you go in there and you do your business. And the throughway is much less expensive than the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So how do you, where's the money going? Who is making the money because they're not buying quality toilet paper? Somebody's making money on this deal.
Who places that order? I'd like to know. What department do we speak to?
You're paying more money for less toilet paper in Pennsylvania than you pay in any other state. Most other states I've been to, 2-ply. Now, sometimes they have the individual sheets that come down. As long as they're 2-ply, that's okay. But the whole idea that you pay so much to ride on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, is it $50 end to end or something like that, and you can't get a decent piece of toilet paper.
If indeed we were to search through history to find out the inventor of the 1-ply, what sort of career do you think he had, coming up with ideas that were insufficient to the need?
I think he had a great career because I know who it was. It was Tommy Markel. He lived in New Jersey.
And he also invented the small Saturn rocket and gas tank, which would get you off the launch pad, but wouldn't get you into orbit. But the savings were extraordinary.
Savings were there. Yeah. There's Tommy Markel. He was born in Paterson, New Jersey, worked for Markel and said, geez, what do we have to have all this thick toilet paper for?
Let's go with half the toilet paper on the same kind of roll.
Sheet in half, have a 1-ply, and we can sell that to the gas stations because we can sell it to them for 3/4 of the price.
Because Americans are not expecting a satisfying experience in a gas station bathroom. They're expecting some hurdles. They're expecting some unsavory scenes.
They're not going, basically they're not going in there to pee anyway. Most people are, when they're out on the road, they're holding it in until they get home. Unless it's absolutely necessary. The people that can't hold it in are older. Who cares about the old people?
Nobody. Especially if they're professionals.
Who cares if they come out and their hands are stained? Who cares?
They're just old professionals, and nobody wants an old professional.
Let them go to China where they're wanted.
Americans are always being told to go back to something. Why don't you go back home? Why don't you go back where you came from?
I came from Brooklyn.
And I will go back, but not right now because I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know what the I don't know what the answer is, Michael. I know that we're in a truckload of trouble, pal. I know that um we're in a time where 8 people control the government,
Control the off switch.
and it's not a reasonable 8 people. When you listen to them, when you talk to them, you see how whacked out they are.
Do you think Taylor Swift's successful tour would have been as successful if she had had just a Republican sitting with the off switch? And you never knew when the Republican was going to just turn off the lights, turn off the sound, turn off the electric guitar. Just
I don't know. All I know is I missed a
unpredictable.
damn good day of baseball yesterday
I
because I
watched a
was
little bit. I watched a little bit of the Twins. I watched a little bit of the Phillies. Twins won. I don't know what the Phillies did. Did they win?
I don't know if they did. I thought they did. I was so burnt out in watching uh TV. It was a strange
Our Congress at work.
yeah, it was a strange day in everything. The Twins won. They had lost, what was it, 18
Eight,
postseason games in a row,
18 games in a row.
and they finally beat the Blue Jays. 6,937 day losing streak.
But nothing that, but who's counting?
In case you're counting at home, in case you're wondering at home, I'm trying to see the Phillies score here, and who do we got here? The Diamondbacks. Um, let's see. The Diamondbacks beat the Brewers 6-3, and let's see. What else do we have here? I went down the wrong road here. Let me just go to MLB.com. It's that have you noticed that the New York Times does not have a sports department anymore?
They have no sports section.
Well, they turned it over to the Athletic. They sold it to the Athletic. So the Phillies beat Miami 4-1. 6-3 Arizona over Milwaukee. Minnesota beat Toronto 3-1, and Texas over Tampa Bay 4-0. Texas is the team that I really think you're going to have to watch out for. Although I am rooting for the Orioles.
I don't have a team in it. It's just that there's one team I don't want to win, and you know who they are.
Would they be the Dodgers?
They are the Dodgers, the Los
Okay, I
Angeles
just want to make
Dodgers.
sure I knew. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you root for the Orioles? They have the same colors as the Giants.
The Giants, in fact, during their meager days when Tom Haller was the general manager, used Oriole uniforms when they were through with them.
Really? Yeah. Why would you not? Why would you not root for the Orioles? It's a team that hasn't been there in who knows how long.
Longer than the Twins.
Yeah. And it's a bunch of people you don't really know. So good
Get
God.
to know your Baltimore team, your Baltimore team.
Yeah. I mean, I could see, I could see rooting for the Toronto. Well, I could see rooting for the Blue Jays, but I could see rooting for the Twins. Twins never hurt nobody. It's a nice name, the Twins. I mean, how could you be against the Twins? I mean, most guys, that's their dream, right? Twins. So, you know, how do you go up
The
against the Twins?
the Mets won a game yesterday.
They did. How did they do that?
Well, they played Miami back in September 28th, and the game was suspended, and it was never made up. So they took the accounts of the game and the hits and runs and accomplishments of the game, and awarded the Mets a win over Miami. The final score 1-0.
That's it's kind of bogus.
Well, I think what they said to themselves was, "Look, it doesn't make any difference, so let's just give it to the Mets and be done with it."
Yeah. The Diamondbacks, the Brewers, the Marlins, and the Phillies. Boy, 4 really unrootable teams in the National League, and then you have the Dodgers and the Braves. I mean, I guess I can't root for the Brewers. It's just impossible. It's hard for me to root for the Phillies, although I think they're the team that everybody wants their team to be like. Arizona, I still don't know that baseball belongs in Arizona. Can't root for the Dodgers. I mean, maybe maybe Atlanta
hmm
in the National League. So it's got to be between the Atlanta and the Phillies. The Marlins, I don't know. You know,
It took
couple of
them
big
forever.
stories
It took them
there.
forever. First of all, when they started the team, it shouldn't have been the Florida Marlins. I don't give a damn. It's not Florida anything. It's a Miami team.
Right.
If you can't say Miami, then I don't want to play with you guys. No, man, we're the Florida Marlins. No, you're not. You're the Miami Marlins, and it took you forever to get around to it. And your uniforms are a disgrace.
Well, the ballpark is weird, and then you have that guy that goes to all the games that wears the Marlins jersey, and he bothers me. So I think you root for the Marlins.
Whatever happened to John 14, the guy with the crazy hair who was the Jesus freak?
Didn't he die in prison or something? Roland wasn't his name
Did, did,
Roland something?
did God finally take him?
I think God finally took him. Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about.
Not a
Didn't
moment too
he
soon.
went crazy at like LAX?
Yeah, he tried to stab a passerby.
Yeah, he went like crazy at LAX, and they had to subdue him and set him off to jail and everything. He had the wig and the whole thing going on. That guy was. You don't see people like that anymore, except at football games that get dressed up crazy like that. But you don't see him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Crazy George is still around, is he?
The banjo player?
No, no, no. The Crazy George from the A's. The banjo player was a different guy. The
That was the
banjo
49er.
player would go to Giant
49er.
games and A's games, but Crazy George was just the A's guy.
That's right. He was just a ranter.
Right. He
He
was
was a
just he'd
cheerleader.
stand up and he got crazy, in the 80s and 90s, he got on, he was on national and everything like that. He was in commercials and all of that stuff. Um, the banjo guy would always get on TV, but nobody knew who the banjo guy was. And the
Just a
banjo
banjo
guy
guy.
always had a problem with me because he wasn't there. See, Crazy George was an A's guy. He didn't
Yeah,
go to Giant games. He
right.
was at the A's, and that's it. And I think he might have showed up every once in a while at the Warriors. But the banjo guy would show up at everything. He was at the 49ers, and he was dressed like a 40, he was at the Giants, the A's, the Warriors. I'm sure he showed up to 3 or 4 Little League games a year until he was
And
asked not.
for all the attempts at playing the banjo, he never learned a damn thing about it. He was among the worst banjo players
Yeah, he
in
was not a good
Christendom.
banjo guy.
No.
The tuba guy here in Seattle, at least, was a good tuba guy. I mean, he could play the tuba and stood outside the ballpark there, usually in front of FX McCrory's, and played the
Yeah,
tuba.
in the parking lot.
Yeah, perfectly. I mean, he was an enjoyment after the game because he knew how to play his instrument. Unfortunately, was robbed and killed.
No.
Oh yeah, several years ago. Yeah,
While he
I
was
think he was
while he
standing at
was
a bus
working?
stop. Say
Really?
again.
He got it at a bus stop?
I think he was standing at a bus stop, and a bunch of kids beat him up and took his money and killed him.
Was Matt Gates involved?
Probably not. Bill Gates might have had something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe he didn't like the tuba guy and hired them to do something. But Matt Gates, the guy can't even spell his name right. Gaetz. There's nothing that annoys me more, Michael, than when people, now there's this cute thing of always spelling something that pluralizing things with a Z instead of an S.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen that, with where it's cool now they put the Z. I just like to grab the person that invented that and just whack them right in the face
Once or repeatedly?
repeatedly. Here's your Z's. Yeah, take some Z's. Because it's just I don't know. Even if that's how you say it, you don't print it like that. But they don't teach kids anything these days in school. So
I'm embarking on an adventure that I want to tell you about. Way back in the late 70s, I'm trying to remember the exact years. I played in a group here in LA. We sang for our supper.
right.
And I still work with one of the guys who I went to school with, Jack Simpson. He was the lead guitarist, and I am not. But the third member of the group, Tommy Nunes, who lives in San Luis Obispo, called us and said, I'm recording some songs of mine that I want to do before I die. And I want you guys to come up and sing on this song. So to get organized with one guy coming from Big Sur, one guy coming from LA, and meeting in San Luis Obispo at 11 o'clock in the morning for a recording session has been difficult to nail down. But yesterday, I think we got the date right. It's October 12th. I wanted to get up before the sun, get in the car with Kristen, head to San Luis Obispo for a recording date, and then we do the oohs and ahs and background vocals, whatever it is. I haven't heard the song yet. On that date, to reunite the band, to get the band back together,
Put the band back together
for some vocal
histrionics.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Histrionics.
That's what I'm here for.
That's what it's going to be like. So I'm looking forward to it, and it's a lot of work to go to just to do some background vocals.
October 12th, huh?
But it's a worthy. I think it's a Thursday. It's a worthy cause, and so I'll let you know how it comes out. I'll send you a copy of the song if I.
Yeah, well, we can play it because it's your song, so they can't ding us for copyright.
Well, I wonder. Actually, it's Tommy's song, but play it anyway.
Yeah,
let him sue you. And what the interesting thing about that is,
you'd have to get in line.
I have no idea what this song is. We were signed on to do it. We're going to walk in and do it. I haven't heard it. I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's an up tune or a down tune. I don't know if it's oohs or ahs or doo-wops. Or I heard the Beach Boys song the other day where they were going, dip, diddy. I'm going, oh, hadn't thought of that.
Didn't they go dip, diddy in like 90% of their songs?
They did some. And,
yeah.
But I'd heard that particular background part with them before. Well, it wasn't that. It was Carl Wilson was singing the lead. Excuse me. Da, 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 da. Dip did it, and it just sounded so great.
Yeah,
with the brother act doing their harmonies.
You can switch on any Beach Boys. I mean, it's no. Well, I don't want to say there's no bad Beach Boys songs, but because there's some that they're not bad. They're just hard to understand. When you get into like Wild Honey and Smile, and there's a few things there that you kind of listen to them and you go, dog barking, huh? But
heroes and villains.
Love Heroes and Villains,
I
man.
love Heroes and Villains. Yeah.
Love that song. The prayer before it and the whole thing. Al Jardine just I've been in this town so long. Yeah, it's a
So
great. I
long
mean,
in the city.
I've straight with this.
And I love that song because Mike Love hated it. Well, that's too bad, Mike. Your taste is not infallible.
Screw Mike Love.
Everybody wants to. Everybody wants to turn the tables on Mike Love.
Yeah, he must have some. I mean, he just seems to have some bad karma about him.
He's a bad combination for a Beach Boy. He is an angry man. He's angry about a lot of things.
Yeah, you can't be a beach boy if you're angry, can you? Or a beach girl, for that matter.
It takes some of the shine off the presentation.
Well, the ocean is supposed to be able to calm everything, right? It's supposed to. The sound of the ocean is supposed to take away the bad. I mean, I know when I go to the ocean and I'm pissed off at something or I'm mad, I go to the ocean, I hear the waves, and it's like everything kind of
Everything mellows out.
mellows out and disappears. And if I spend a few hours at the ocean, or if I sleep at the ocean and I'm listening to the waves, invariably when I get up in the morning, the combination of the salt air and the ocean and just the fact that I'm waking up near the ocean feels good. It cleanses you. So I don't know what's wrong with Mike Love, but he ought to go stand by the ocean and get cleansed.
Maybe walk along the beach and get his feet wet.
Have a step on a jellyfish or something. That'll take your mind off it.
And then you got to pee on your foot. Remember that.
Is that how you?
The acid in the urine counteracts the sting.
I didn't know that. I know that if you have athlete's foot, it's good to pee in the shower because the acid in your pee works something with your feet.
Speaking of urine, I have a new doctor, Dino Clarizio. Dino sent me to do a battery of tests, all sorts of tests.
Yes,
crazy tests.
Words that don't get uttered on radio enough. Speaking of
one of them was a urine test.
Yeah.
And the lab tech said, "I need more urine." I said, "Well, that's all I've got for you right now. Maybe ask around if you need more urine." So she gave me the cup and said, "Bring it back on Monday." So I brought it back on Monday. They close at 2:30 in the afternoon. They close at 2:30 and do not accept overnight drop-off. So I've had the urine in my urine sample's been in my car now since, I don't know, 2 days, 3 days. I'm thinking about taking it back today, but right now it's 11:16 in California and Los Angeles. The countdown to the 2:30 closing is coming. Will I make it today? Will I get the urine sample back to them?
Not for nothing, Michael, but wouldn't it be better just to dump that urine sample and give them a fresh one?
Well, I can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that you'd. Now, I'm no expert on piss, but I'd have to think that after, like everything else, that after 48 hours
in my car,
in your car especially, is it hot down there?
Underground parking, so.
All right, so maybe it's not so bad, but still, I got to think that 48 hours in a container, you might want to just throw it out, wash the container out, no soap, just water.
I think I'll do your suggestion.
Feed it again and give them fresh because.
And the reason being, I've got a constant supply. If you, it was a very rare
usually
thing.
You do. For me, it's that little thing in the. It's that little door in the bathroom that always gets me nervous, because I always think that the nurse is kind of peeking in.
Well, that was another thing. They didn't have a bathroom in this lab, so they sent me to walk down 2 flights of stairs, go outside the building, find the basement stairs, go down the basement. Into the basement is where the bathroom is. Come out of the basement, walk up the stairs, outside, up the alternate stairway, 2 floors to the top. And when I got up there, in their estimation, there wasn't enough urine in the cup. I said, "Well, that's all I've got. I just went before I got here, and you didn't say on the sheet that the urine would be a factor, or I would have kept some for you."
What kind of
So
shyster organization are you going to?
it's called Lab Pro. This is a test of the wireless emergency alert system. No action is required by the public.
No, I'm not getting it. Oh, there it is.
Well, if no action is required, they've come to the right place.
Yeah, I can give them. As a matter of fact, this should be Congress's new motto: "No action is required." Yeah, all right. So now I know I can get a text from the White House telling me that the rockets are coming.
This also means that I get 5 seconds warning ahead of you.
Yeah,
Wonder
well,
why.
you're in California. They're always a few minutes ahead.
A few years, actually.
I don't know, Michael. Sometimes I wonder. All right. Well, listen. Now that we've had we've experienced the test, but now wait a second. If I don't have a cell phone, I'm not going to know what's going on, will I?
No, you won't.
I mean, nothing came across my internet to say anything.
You'll be as well informed as Matt Gaetz is well prepared.
Please don't put me in the same category as that clown.
Well, it was just a comparison. Forgive me.
Thank you. All right. Well, listen, we've done enough damage for one morning.
I think it was a wacky Wednesday, that's for sure.
Well, it couldn't have been more wacky than the Tuesday we just experienced. That was nuts. But today maybe I can watch some baseball in peace.
By the way, one of the tests that the doctor wanted me to do was my eye test, and the optometrist or ophthalmologist put drops in my eyes to dilate my pupils. Didn't tell me to wear sunglasses. Sent me home driving blind through the streets of Pasadena on Huntington Drive. I could not see street signs, and I thought, if you put these drops in people's eyes all the time, why not tell them you know, if you don't come to this appointment, it's going to cost you $70. Well, what if I do come and you put shit in my eyes? What am I supposed to do then? That's not our problem. We dilate pupils all day long. You should have known to wear shades. I would have if you had told me that this was going to be part of the deal.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way,
should.
remember to wear dark glasses. You'll need them on the way home. Nothing like that.
Well, they just figure everybody has a pair of everybody who lives in California has a pair of sunglasses in their pocket.
Well, I had a pair of shades, but they were light colored. They were my driving glasses and not what I would call dark shades. I would have worn my blackies.
You know, they used to go with they used to give you those shades, right? They
Yes,
would give you those like they weren't paper, but they were like kind
they were
of
plastic, but they went over the ear. They
yeah,
went
they
over
went
your
yeah, they went I remember I got them when I had my eyes done, and they didn't tell me to bring a pair of sunglasses. They just gave them to me and said, "Put these over your eyes," and
Well,
you
it's a
go.
new
I
it's a
think,
new world now.
I
You can't
think,
see. You should go home now. We fixed it so you can't see. So good luck to you.
yeah, just just touch the wall until you get to the number that feels like your house.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
When you get home, try and search Bobby Darin on the web, but you can't because you won't be able to see your tutor.
You won't be able to see anything. I mean, I don't know why they just couldn't have given you I mean, are those glasses that expensive?
They're cheaper if you don't give them out.
Yeah, I could see that. You could just keep you order one box and you just keep it there. Or maybe if you're not on Medicaid, they give you, they give you the glasses. Sorry, you're on Medicaid. You don't get the glasses, and don't touch the lollipops in the lobby.
Don't even touch the magazines. Don't read
Don't
anything.
touch the magazines. Don't touch the lollipops. Those are for the paying people. But wait a minute.
You're out of green lollipops. I want a green one. Everybody wants a green one. Take a red one and go home.
Take a red one and get out of here. Don't tell anybody we gave it to you. I can never understand that about the dentist. They would always give you the lollipop. Then I figured it out years later. They were just trying to get
More business. The busyness.
That's they're trying to get more business, giving you a lollipop.
What are you
Surprised they didn't
doing?
give you a Mountain Dew as you walked out. Here, drink this. I'll have you back here in a week.
What were
All right.
they called? Mountain bars that looked like mountains and they had white inside?
No, mounds.
Mounds. No, not
Mounds.
mounds. No, they looked like a little mountain. They were like this. And they were white inside.
Malamar? No.
I thought mountain. They weren't a bar though.
Yeah.
I don't
Charleston,
even-
not Charleston shoes.
No, I hated those. And I hated Payday, and I hated Butterfinger, and I hated
wasn't
Baby
big,
Ruth.
But I was a Mounds or Almond Joy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now you're
always loved the
talking.
Mounds or the Almond Joy. Always loved Hershey's with almonds.
Sure.
Milky Ways and Snickers.
Good vibes.
Were
Did
always
you
a
ever
couple of my
refrigerate them?
favorites.
Did you ever freeze them? You ever
Yep,
freeze the Milky Way? Oh,
frozen.
man.
You know what I really
Oh,
liked
man.
frozen was the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the nuts in them. They just had the nougat inside. And
Nougat.
the nougat. So it was almost like ice cream. But I like the Three Musketeers frozen. Then they have the ice cream bars that don't have the nougat. They have the frozen they have ice cream in them. I don't know. Those are all stuff. That's all stuff I can dream about now. I can't eat that crap anymore. Although I sneak them in every once in a while.
Well, they're not good for. In fact, here comes Halloween, so look out. You get
Oh,
trick or
yeah.
treaters.
Oh,
You get
it's gonna
trick or treaters at your house.
Yeah, we'll have trick or treats. I'm probably not going to be here. I'm probably going to be coming back from back east. But
You're going to Pittsburgh?
I'm good. I'm trying to put it together right now. I'm working on it today. To get to Pittsburgh, get my stuff, get it the hell back out here, and go through it. And I figure if I time it all right, I'll be able to get rid of it before I die.
Well, now don't get rid of everything willy-nilly. Let me know if there's anything I need for my crap pile.
Okay, I'll let you know. My daughter's going to go through it with me, so you know what that means.
I don't, but it probably means
I'm not going to sell any of it. It's all going to go. She's going to have to rent a storage box or storage place.
Have a good day,
All right,
Vinnie.
man.
I'll see you for a Freaky Friday.
See you for a Freaky Friday. All right. If the Lord's willing, the creek don't rise. We'll catch you on Friday. Mikey, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine.
See you, Mikey.
And good night
Thanks,
to Bobby
everybody, for
Darin. Wherever you are, Bobby Darin, good night.
Use 2-ply. 2-ply.
Please, 1 ply is not a deal.
1 ply is not enough in this world.